Get more music.
Might be coming over to West Bank.
And it's free. Try it today.
It's a pretty cool
all your
spot,
favorite
man.
music, all your favorite stations.
I like the point. It's a cool place.
We believe
renovated.
the best Halloween
I don't want to buy
ever
some
is
place
yours
that
for the
needs to be
taking.
fixed up.
That's why
Right.
HalloweenCostumes.com/iHeart has over 10,000 costumes, including 2,000 made exclusively for you. Your favorite movie, your favorite artist, your favorite food. We have them all, from video games to fairy tale princesses.
We're gonna
In
touch
sizes
on the
infant to adult
vice
8X,
president thing or not?
10,000 options await you.
10 seconds.
It's up to you. If you want to bring it up, we can.
And why
I mean, it's a
HalloweenCostumes.com/iHeart?
sham.
Because
I
we're
know.
partnering with
I
them to
agree.
get you
Yeah.
15% off. Go to HalloweenCostumes.com/Halloween.
Here we go.
Dunc and Holder live on a Monday, October 9th, live at our NOLA.com Times-Picayune studios. Look, we didn't have to cover any Saints games yesterday. Relaxing day. And a very relaxing day, I'm sure, up in Baton Rouge and down the street uptown. Big wins for college football's own LSU Tigers and the Tulane Green Wave. Both needed the wins. Both got the wins. Some a little easier than others, but look, it's something that when it's not Saints weekend, we can focus in on LSU and focus in on Tulane and Jeff. Both got it done. I think both in surprising fashion, I would say. The fact that, LSU was even able to get back up off the mat and pick up the win, and then Tulane just unbelievably trounced Tulsa. That was a game for the ages for Tulane football, seriously.
It was so funny listening to the call by Todd Graffanini. His main concern wasn't the outcome. It was that they were going to get the game in so it would count, because Hurricane Nate was, of course, barreling down on New Orleans. It ended up being, of course, the biggest. It was fake weather, not fake news. Hurricane Nate did not make much of an impact on New Orleans, as we all know. But Graf was monitoring the radar, making sure that thing was going to hold off so they'd get the game in, because they opened a can of whoop on Tulsa. I don't think anybody saw that coming. Clearly, Tulsa had no clue how to defend Tulane's offense. They were scoring at will. I think they scored 7 touchdowns in the first half. Willie Fritz has got it going right now. I was just working on my column about if you had to rank the college football teams in the state of Louisiana. Where would you put it? In the power rankings right now, Larry, if you look around these, college RPI and these different power rankings, LSU's still ahead of Tulane, but not by much. Tulane is 51st, I think, in one ranking, and LSU's 40th. And LSU's played a much easier strength of schedule so far. So it's room for debate right now. But that was a huge win for Coach O and LSU down there in that environment to win that game, even though it came by a missed extra point. They needed a win. Now they've got to get a big win at home against Auburn.
Right, and obviously that's going to be the focus of many. It's the CBS game, second week in a row for LSU. They're back in the good graces of CBS. It'll be a 2:30 kickoff against Auburn. But Jeff, you look at just the way LSU, and just a heads up, no guests today, open phone lines throughout. We're gonna be touching on a lot of subjects because, look, usually on these Monday shows, it's extremely Saints heavy, but look, the Saints are off. They got to kick back and watch their two opponents back to back. You were able to watch them on Sunday. You watched the Lions, and then you watched Green Bay, and two different stories from those two teams. But
Green Bay looked great. Detroit looked awful until the fourth quarter.
Right. When they had to try to beat Cardiac Kids again, and it's amazing how much better Cam Newton has looked the last 2 weeks.
I wrote a column a couple weeks ago saying that Cam Newton looks awful, and if they don't get it back together, if they don't get the 2015 Cam Newton back, Carolina might have a losing season. And since that time, he's beaten New England on the road and then beat Detroit on the road, and they dominated that game. They looked like a totally different team. He was playing lights out, putting passes right on the money. he's been a very inaccurate passer. That's one of the big knocks on him. And every pass was right on the money. Just nothing Detroit could do. I actually think that was bad for the Saints, that Detroit lost that game the way they did. They're going to have the Lions' full attention this week in practice, but expose some flaws. I mean, they couldn't defend Ed Dixon at all.
Right.
And he's the backup tight end for Carolina. That should bode well for Kobe Fleener.
And you look at it to where Matt Stafford got hurt at the end of the game. I know Ian Rappaport's saying that he had some tape around, I think, his quad and his ankle. And so, look, Stafford, you could see him limping and gimpy at the end of the game. So if he's less mobile, the Saints have been successful blitzing the past couple of games. Maybe that could bode well. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Green Bay's win. We've got to talk about the New Orleans connections that are one's way high in the sky and the other one is completely doom and gloom. Talk about Jacksonville. Leonard Fournette is number 2 in the NFL right now in rushing. Had a $180 against the Steelers and was inviting hits. Come on down, little fella, and just knocks him down. And, of course, the DB tries to get in Leonard's face. He's like, get out of here. And
right.
Then, look, New York, we thought the Jets were going to be panic mode. It's the Giants. And Eli Manning, there's going to be questions. If this is going to be his last year with the Giants, they're 0-5, and Odell Beckham's season looks like it could be over with the injured leg.
The fractured?
Yeah, I think it's a fractured
something.
Ankle, bone, something. All I know is that he could likely miss the rest of the season, and he's in a contract year. So it's a lot of New Orleans ties. Look, Patrick Peterson went nuclear on the sideline, I think, in a game, and so all kinds of people going nuclear on sidelines. It's
going to be a long year in Phoenix. They don't look very good.
No, they don't look very good.
They could have a coaching change, I think, and a quarterback change. This could be Carson Palmer's last year. And look at all the big names in the NFL that have gone down. I mean, J.J. Watt went down last night. Odell Beckham Jr. You've had a number of big-name star players out for significant periods of time or the season. That's part of the game in the NFL. And the Saints, actually, in that regard, I think are in pretty good shape as far as getting guys back here over the next few weeks. So there's got to be some optimism out on Airline Drive.
Well, they've lost some key pieces, but they're going to be getting at least one seemingly back with Teron Armstead. But look, Zach Strief could be out for the year. We don't know. Alex Anzalone was put on injured reserve. Craig Robertson's going to take over for him at the weak side linebacker spot. But look, it's been a crazy year in the NFL, and it's just getting crazier. And so maybe the Saints become one of those crazier stories. And look, rumor mills are starting. Adrian Peterson, yesterday, multiple reports, one from ESPN's Adam Schefter, that teams assume that Adrian Peterson's going to be on the trading block. My question is, who would even want him? I don't understand it unless you're extremely desperate, because the Saints, to me, can move on without him. But look, that's going to be a storyline leading up to the trading deadline. Moral of the story is this show's going to be pretty wide open. Got a lot to talk about. If you want to chime in, 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. And we'll hear from Ed Orgeron, his thoughts from after the game. We'll hear from Willie Fritz, his thoughts from after the game. And we'll just kind of break it down. It'll be kind of a freewheeling show. Why not? I feel refreshed. I got a couple of days off.
You deserved it, man. You deserved it. It was a great weekend. I mean, we thought we were going to get pounded by this storm. I went to the grocery. I got up at like 6 a.m. to go to the grocery Saturday morning, trying to beat the crowd, and failed miserably. I mean, everybody else had the same idea. Couldn't find any water. Gas station lines were long, and nothing happened.
Just so I don't confuse the audience, because when I've mentioned this to some of y'all, my sister's sister. So I don't want to say my sister-in-law was getting married, because they're like, what are you talking about? She's already married. Right. My wife's sister. Not my sister's sister. My wife's sister. She got married Saturday. Had to move the wedding up because Mitch Landrieu put up a bogus curfew. So they had to move the wedding up, move the vendors up, move everything up. And styrofoam cup was blowing in the wind, and it was total chaos. And then, of course, the curfew gets lifted. So
I violated the curfew. I went to Clancy, my favorite restaurant uptown.
I saw your picture. I was jealous. I was like, "What?" I'm like looking at your picture. What is he eating? I want it.
And the place was packed.
No one cared.
Was laughing at the curfew.
Exactly.
Classic New Orleans irreverence. I loved it.
Well, yeah, and classic buffoonery with local politics, but whatever. The wedding went off without a hitch.
Good.
Thankfully, everything got it done. So yeah, it was a wild weekend to say the least for my in-laws. Had to get on the phone and call every guest to tell them the wedding was getting moved up because of a bogus curfew.
Yeah, I
That's
can't
why.
imagine. That's like your worst nightmare if you're a wedding planner or the couple that's planned for months
Right.
for this day. And I had friends actually that were in town from out of town. They came in from California and Colorado for a wedding. Same thing happened. They had to make all these last minute maneuvers because they wanted to get married in New Orleans, and of all times for this storm to crop up right on a Saturday. So thank goodness it dodged us, and it didn't look like it did that much damage, really. I know there was some damage over in Mississippi, but nothing major. We kind of
Right,
dodged
some
the bullet.
flooding on the Gulf Coast. Look, some of the casinos got flooded, but when you're right on the water, that tends to happen. If a storm comes, it doesn't matter what the severity of if it's a hurricane, it's a hurricane year. But no, it wasn't nearly as bad, and so that's obviously great news. But because the storm came, it moved Tulane, Tulsa from 3 p.m. to 11 a.m. to 10 a.m., and Willie Fritz just loved that just fine because his team's used to playing early in the morning, and Tulsa looked like they never even woke up.
Like they were out on Bourbon Street the night before or something.
Yeah, exactly.
They had no idea how to defend Tulane. And look, a few weeks ago we were doing research with Gene Gilead, our great stat guy, looking up the last time the Saints, LSU, and Tulane all lost the same weekend or something like that. Remember, it was like we had to go way
the
back.
biggest, the widest
Yeah.
margin of loss among the three teams.
That's what it was, and it'd been decades. Here we are coming off a weekend where obviously the Saints were off, but LSU and Tulane had big wins, so things turn around quickly during a college football season.
Well, have they really turned around quickly at LSU? You think it's totally
No, I'm not buying in just yet, but that was a huge win for them. And it's starting to look more and more like it's Alabama, Georgia, and then the rest of the SEC is kind of everybody's about even. I guess we'll find out about Auburn this weekend. They're kind of a mystery team right now.
Right, exactly. So we'll touch on all of those subjects and get your phone calls. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. We got our YouTube live stream up and running. And why don't we take a quick break right here, and we will get into LSU talk. We'll hear from Coach Orgeron. Look, like Jeff said, they had to get a win. They got the win. Doesn't matter if it was the skin of the teeth. It wouldn't have mattered if they would have won. Honestly, they would have won by 10, 15, so what? The fact that they won, they needed that, and you could see the relief on O's face after the game. And we'll hear from him, and we'll get all of our thoughts and your thoughts here. Coming up next, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeart Radio app. Jeff Duncan's here, Larry Holder's here, Dave's back in the iHeart studios. We're all Duncan Holder.
Enjoy wines from around the world, great food, and the music of Tanya Boyd Cannon and box office giants. That's the second annual Wine on the River.
All right, we got 3.5 minutes on this break.
Cool.
Get your ticket at Wine on the River.
Do we have any guests?
No.
Presented
No,
by
man,
Southern
we're rolling.
Oh, okay,
It's
cool.
just us two.
All right. Awesome.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's
That's
number
enough.
one, number two employee.
But
Leave
no,
a message
so,
at
the
Hi,
plan was to watch
Jamie.
LSU game, weddings for
Listen, I
7.
forgive you. That birthday
I didn't watch
shout
a
out to Lefter
second
might have
of
been
it.
poor
Oh, you didn't get to
design
see it
and
'cause-
mildly dangerous,
No.
but doggone it, you put
Yesterday
your
was the
heart
first
into it.
day that I've watched
Forgiveness is
like
what
back-to-back
Progressive is all about. That's why
NFL
our loyal
games
customers enjoy
ever.
accident
Well, I'll watch
insurance at
both,
no
yeah.
extra
Probably been
cost.
20
So,
years. I
forgive
was sitting there
you,
going, I
even
can't
if
remember the last
Lefter
time I
and
did
the
this.
Fire department don't.
And yeah,
Or the
Carolina
infrastructure.
looked awesome.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe how good Newton
Casualty
looked.
Insurance Company and affiliates.
Like some of those passes he threw, there was nothing
Situations.
you could do.
fall at JC
And then
Penney.
against the
Time to
Saints,
refresh
he's
your
like,
closet.
couldn't
This
hit guys
Thursday
wide
through
open.
Monday,
No.
Levi's
He looked
Lowe's
awful. He looked
Closet Booties on
disinterested.
514
I don't
straight
know
fit
what
jeans
the
for
deal
guys,
was.
$36.99, and select Arizona booties for her for $35.99. Plus, save an additional 50% off clearance prices already.
Yeah, I don't think the Saints are gonna beat Green Bay.
And get an
No.
extra $10 off.
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, that's
JC
going to chalk that one
I
up
don't
as a
think they're
loss.
They need to win this game.
They need to win this
Clearance
game.
selections vary by store while
I think it
supplies
depends on how
last.
banged up Stafford is, because if he's not mobile,
Right.
and they can blitz him a little bit.
Well, that's one thing I noticed in the game yesterday. Detroit got no pressure on Carolina. None.
Right.
And, they got a pretty good pass rush. And the Saints got pressure on him a lot.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that says. I don't know if they just laid an egg or, it's hard to tell week to week in
I was just
NFL.
happy
Right.
to have a job, and Jim gave me a new lease on life. I fell in love with New Orleans. enjoy it. People vacation there. We're just gonna work. So we went down there thinking that it very well could have been a 1-year stint, and then 8 weeks.
We should probably get him on one day.
I become the
He'd be
head
good.
coach, and I had
After
had
like
a
big NFL weekend or something, because he kind of breaks it all up. Chris Landry was good on Friday.
I listened to a little bit.
He was good. He's long-winded, but he said some.
Well, you gotta, on that subject, you just let him roll. Text in the morning. Oh, gotta get to school.
With new double wear
no water
fresh
Get out
makeup
11
now
o'clock.
at Macy's and
Hurry
Macy's.com.
now.
They did. They let him out.
So I was listening in carpool lane.
This 24-hour
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
makeup gives you a real skin flawless
I've
look.
never.
Try double
It was
wear
like
in
that
your
one
shade
that we
for 10
evacuated
days,
for, like
free,
in
and while supplies
2002.
last. Get our skin
I kept waiting for it to get bad, and then finally I said, I'm going for a run. I went for a run. There was nobody at Ogden Park.
For your free
I mean, there
10-day
were like
supply.
2 people.
All right, 1 minute.
Wear nude
but it
water
was,
fresh makeup. Free gift with purchase. Don't miss it.
Hi, this is
I got all your audio.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Says the disco
We'll start
song
playing some
Staying
of the
Alive is
Orgeron
near-
stuff this segment.
All right.
See a teen or adult collapse from cardiac arrest.
God, who was the Chiefs player last night? You saw that? You saw his tendon pop in his calf? You saw that thing go
No.
boing?
I didn't see that.
I didn't see it.
Oh, man, you could actually see the muscle pop.
I don't want to see
Like
that, Dave.
his whole calf,
I'm good.
ripples.
You could tell me about it. I don't want to see that.
I just watched the Odell Beckham
That was bad.
ankle break.
Yeah.
That,
Described as a giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger. A delicious anomaly, doubling the size and taste of Wendy's iconic Junior Bacon Cheeseburger. Double the bacon, double the cheese, and good heavens, double the fresh, never frozen beef. And what's this? A Wendy's giant Junior Bacon Cheeseburger with nuggets, fries, and a drink for just $5.
They had trouble figuring out what would be
Run to your
the
nearest
cover of the New
Wendy's.
York Post.
Wendy's for a limited time.
Yeah, Odell Beckham, the Yankees winning, and then Harvey Weinstein getting fired. So they just put all 3.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back, Dunc and Holder. LSU 17, Florida 16. Jeff, you look at the statistics in this game, and very similar. Similar first downs, similar rushing yards, similar passing yards. And you could tell it was going to be this nail-biting game, and it wasn't like it was this overly dominant approach by both teams. It was just a couple of teams scrapping for a win, and Ed Orgeron made several statements throughout the week that he promised came out knowing that the world had basically turned against him. And they've already got this bitter rival with Florida and the backdrop from last year's game. And look, even Darius Geis went up and threw some smack at Jim McElwain on Twitter afterwards and deleted it. Don't delete it. Just keep it. It was good. It was
you
worth
said
it.
it, yeah.
Let's just say it. So what? I don't care if someone's at LSU said, take it down. Say, I'm Darius Geis. I'm going to leave it up to the team. And I think if you would have seen that in other games, like if they would have lost to Mississippi State and it would have been a gritty 2-point loss, there wouldn't be this mass panic. But the fact that they had to come play this game, this type of game, and pick up a win, and they needed this for the fan base and probably for themselves, is kind of telling with the season. But hey, they got it done.
I think those teams are very similar, aren't they? Florida and LSU are almost mirror images of each other. Kind of shaky at quarterback, really good defenses, like to run the ball, play pretty conservative. I thought Danny Antling did not have one of his better games, but he's a tough guy. He grinds out victories. He had some guys open. I mean, when you start evaluating Matt Canada's offensive system, it's hard to evaluate sometimes when they drop balls or he misses wide open receivers because the X's and O's are working. The execution is what's flawed sometimes on the LSU offense. But like you said, I mean, they just needed to get a win. Yeah, came on a missed extra point, but a win. And if they could somehow grind out a win against Auburn, in what I expect to be another defensive battle, then things start changing. The picture changes for LSU because the SEC is so wide open.
Look, I think one of the major things that LSU took care of the football, and I didn't expect Danny Etling to go in there and win it. I expected LSU to take the approach. Look, they ran it 48 times. Etling only threw the ball 16 times. I mean, that's the approach that LSU has to take. And to me, one of the more surprising statistics in all of this, Arias Guys had 17 carries for 53 yards. Well, for 50 yards total. So Gage had 52, Guys had 50. And I saw the stat from Michael Bonnet from LSU Sports lead information guy. The last time a receiver led LSU in rushing in a game was Jarrell Myers in 1999, and it was only for 16 yards.
Wow. The team. That was the year I was on the beat. I don't even remember Jarrell Myers.
Well, I remembered him because he was still there playing, but he faded away once Saban came in, and who was it? Became the big.
Okay.
He became the big superstar, and Jarrell Myers drifted.
Yeah,
away.
you know, when we had Ryan Clark on the show last week, we talked a little bit about those teams. Those were talented teams, and you look back at it. I mean, he brought up some names of players that I'd forgotten about. Robert Royal was a tight end. Trev Falk, the linebacker. They had Mark Roman. Of course, all three of those quarterbacks you and I have talked about. Even though they weren't that successful on the field, those guys ended up having NFL careers.
Well, Brady James, he may have had the longest of all of them.
He was the best, I think, most talented overall. But, well, Ryan Clark, of course, wasn't even drafted and ends up winning a Super Bowl, goes to a Pro Bowl, had a long, distinguished NFL career, kind of self-made player.
Yeah, I had class with Ryan, a mass comm class with Ryan, and it was like our last semester, and I didn't see him there much because he was out traveling around, you know, doing the visits and doing the combine stuff, so he was gone. But yeah, like you look at those teams, and that's an interesting thing how far back and odd Russell Gage rushing the ball. But look, he scored the one rushing touchdown that they needed, and he became a spark, and it doesn't matter. It didn't matter how you got it done. Did not matter. They needed to win more than just about anyone in America, because all you had to do was watch the ESPN, all the pregame shows, all of them were ripping on Ed Orgeron that if they lost that game, they felt like the team would just drift away, and it would be a team quitting on a coach already.
You know, well, they were circling the wagons. Remember, there were all those reports of the different meetings that were held last week. That there was a players-only meeting, and then the coordinators and Ed Orgeron met with Joe Oliva. Certainly, it was a crossroads game for them. And the fact that they played with more energy, I think, was indicative that he didn't feel like they did against Troy. The body language wasn't there against Troy. I mean, that's what happens in some of these non-conference games. You know, a team like Troy doesn't inspire the troops, if you will, and it's human nature. And that's usually indicative of a team not being ready to play when you're not getting after it. And the other good sign, Larry, in the Florida game, I thought was 5 penalties in the game. That's been a problem for LSU all year. You can't afford that when you go down to the swamp. So that's a good, encouraging sign for the future.
Well, you mentioned the Troy game, but it wasn't a one-blip wonder. You had out of there, and then it all finally caught up to him when they really lost to Troy. And so now that they've kind of gotten it back together, I think at least for a day, because you still got this daunting schedule to where LSU probably still isn't as good as everyone thought, and none of these games on there, you can't go up and chalk, oh, that's going to be a win, that's going to be a win. You can't do that because we've seen how inconsistent this team can be. But at least LSU can take
score more points. Looking at Auburn, the last 3 weeks, they got 44 on Ole Miss, 49 on Mississippi State, and 51 on Missouri. So they're going to have to put up some points. Matt Canada's going to have to scheme it up a little bit because they're not going to win this game 17-16.
And Auburn's offense before those games looked pedestrian. It looked like I know they were touting it, and of course Gus Malzahn, you figure could get it done, but they looked like a shell of themselves early on, and now they're starting to kind of turn it up. But let's hear from what Coach O had to say. Look, big win, obviously, and let's hear Ed Orgeron's opening remarks on the Florida win.
This week, as you all know, is a tough week. The guys were resilient. They blocked out the noise. They believed in each other. We went back to work. Our coaching staff did a tremendous job of coming up with an outstanding game plan. We got back to playing Tiger football. Defense was resilient. We came up with the plays where we need to be. We were physical at the point of attack. And for that, I'm most proud of our football team. This was a complete team win. We kick a field goal, we make one, they missed an extra.
After last week's game, and we played Edo, his comments after on Monday when he's like, oh, tell the truth Monday, and he comes in and lists off this. But you got to give the coaching credit that through all of the wildfire going on, that they were able to get this team back. And look, did you get some guys back? Yes, you got Darius Geis back, you got Rashard Lawrence back. That certainly helped. But Florida still ran for 200-something yards. I mean, and it wasn't pretty, but still, they got it done, and it was a complete turnaround. Now, how much and how long can they keep that up, I think, is going to be the big question going forward.
Well, I mean, Auburn will expose whatever flaws they have. I mean, Auburn arguably is the third best team, maybe the second best team in the SEC, and they're going to come in here as the highest-ranked team that they played this. I mean, it could have gone south, and it didn't. And they got the energy they needed to play with, the discipline they needed to play with, rallied the troops, went down to a hostile environment, and against a team that has similar issues as LSU, but won a game that not a lot of people thought they could win. So I think it's a testament to Coach O that he does have control of his team. When everybody was making it out like things were falling apart and splintering, clearly that wasn't the case.
Well, things were falling apart. They fixed it, and at least for a week.
Yeah. Week 2, you and I sat here and everything, the sky was falling.
Well, they look terrible.
Well, I know, but it happens. People, that's what the season's about. It's a 16-game season, coaching staff, players make fixes. They just played the defending Super Bowl champions and lost a game. And you knew that they were going to play better and get things worked out. And right now, I mean, I think the Saints and LSU have to feel good about where they're at, considering the starts that they've had.
Right, and yet they've all got some tough roads ahead, so it should be interesting. Well, let's take a quick break right here on the show. When we get back, we'll hear from more Coach O sound. We'll, later on in the show, dive into Tulane and Tulsa. Huge win for the Green Wave. Win. And it's funny, in his press conference, he was asked about it, and he spun the answer around to, well, there's another guy in town with about 360 more wins than me, J.T. Curtis. He went on spiel about how great J.T. Curtis was. Come on, Willie, you could take a little credit, dude. 200 wins.
I haven't heard you mention Rummel, by the way, this weekend at all.
I can get into that. Rummel, let me tell you what. Rummel's lucky they even got into overtime. The kicker from Holy Cross, Nolan Heitmeyer, he made the kick. They should have won in regulation. It was good. You could see it behind the video, and the ref said no good.
I didn't know. Wasn't that a big upset? Am I wrong? Or?
Of course it's a big upset. Yes,
okay.
Of course it's a big upset.
I just didn't hear you mention Rummel at all.
There's a reason why I didn't do it. It
know.
wasn't like total victory on Monday. But that's all right. Coach O, LSU, they got the win. Tulane got the win. We'll be happy, joy for at least, now you tried to ruin my life. How's Rick Pitino doing?
I was going to say,
Come on.
You didn't bring up Louisville losing NC.
We're Dunc and Holder.
Your forecast
My
on Sports
buddy, the
1280,
guy I bet
New
horses
Orleans.
with, he's a huge Holy
This
Cross
report
guy. His
is
kids all
brought
went
to you
there.
by
He's like a big
McDonald's.
booster.
Happy Monday
So
from
we
the Fox
actually
8 Weather
went
Center.
down
I'm
to
meteorologist
Sports
Shelby
Center, and
Latino. Temperatures
How come
will
you haven't
climb
been
into
to
the
the game
mid-80s
Saturday?
today under mostly
like,
cloudy skies with a mix of showers and storms. We
what?
will see
I
those
mean, like,
developing
I don't
mainly in the
think,
late
like,
morning and
even
into the
thought they were gonna
afternoon
win.
hours.
Right, no.
Temperatures
He was all
will
fired up.
fall
He
into the
didn't mention that.
mid-70s
Well,
overnight as the skies dry out. And
Yeah,
tomorrow
it
we'll
was-
see a
they had
30%
video
chance
from
for rain
behind,
as
and it
highs
went,
climb
like,
to the mid to upper 80s.
It wasn't like right over
From the Fox 8
goalpost.
Weather
It was
Center,
like
I'm
inside the
meteorologist
goalpost.
Shelby Latino.
And
Have a great
no
day.
God,
McDonald's
it's
got
awful.
free large
It's
soft drink with
awful.
any purchase
Well,
every week. And right now, get
it's,
any size soft
the
drink,
kicker
sweet tea, or
is,
coffee for just $1
related
anytime
to
in
me
McDonald's.
through
Limited
marriage.
time. Participation may
Yeah,
vary. See
so that's why.
McDonald's.com/app for
Yeah,
details.
Holy Cross. That's why
McDonald's,
I made sure to give him a shout out.
Hi, I'm Kelly Clarkson, and I've toured the country
He
dozens
should have
of
won it.
times,
Like,
and there's one thing
and so
I see
that was the
everywhere.
talk of the
Childhood
wedding the
hunger.
next day.
The sad truth
Because
is
I
that
sent it
17 million
to
kids struggle
his
with it.
grandpa.
That's
That's where
why
we bought
the
our
Feed
house
American
from.
nationwide
Like Joni's
network of food banks gathers up
So-
surplus food and gets it to hungry kids.
That's his grandson.
Join me in
And so
supporting
I
Feeding
found-
America and your
because
local
I was
food
like,
bank at
actually,
feedingamerica.org.
It's like, oh, this is a close
To
game.
help
I'm
solve
going to pay
hunger
attention
in
to
your
it.
community
And I saw the
to
video
find
and I
your
sent it
local
right
food
to him.
bank,
I was like, he
visit
made it.
feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
We believe
Fix
that
was
the
on
best
for Rumble.
Halloween ever is yours for the taking. That's why
skids of the
HalloweenCostumes.com
No, but they hit a
/iHeart has
jump
over
pass
10,000
2-point
costumes,
conversion
including
in
2,000
double
made
overtime to
exclusively
beat
for
Rumble.
you. Your
Yeah.
favorite movie, your favorite artist, your favorite food. We have
Sam
them
will
all. From video
texted
games
me
to
on
fairy tale
Saturday.
princesses. In sizes
was
infant to
covering the
adult
Western Michigan
8X.
Buffalo game.
10,000
See that
options
score?
await.
Oh!
72-69, 7
And why
overtime.
HalloweenCostumes.com /iHeart? Because we're partnering with them.
Before they started
Hilarious.
interrupting the music over and over, we thought maybe we can do it better than Pandora with our iHeartRadio app. And now we have. Open iHeartRadio, type in an artist you love, and let iHeartRadio build you a station with all that artist's best music and songs we've handpicked to make you a perfect station. And with iHeartRadio, you get more music, fewer interruptions, and it's free. Try it today. All your favorite music,
I'm
all
gonna
your
go to,
favorite stations,
Meet
all
Reddit.
free.
All right, 30 seconds.
Port Orleans tonight.
Oh, okay.
Watch Monday
Shop
Night Game.
Lowe's All for Fall event, where you'll find great deals to spruce up your
Now he's
great
got Tom
outdoors.
I know.
Fall's the
I
perfect
know,
time
you
to
probably
focus on
going
getting
out,
your
I
lawn
bet.
in shape. And now you can take care
Maybe.
of it with up to 30% off select
Like,
Scott
what the hell
seed
else
and
am I gonna
fertilizer.
drink and get
And I've
fat?
covered the
Yeah.
planters and
Time
garden
to-
beds. Start with Lowe's. Scott's offer valid 9/27 through 10/11. Plan offer valid 10/4 through 10/11. While supplies last, U.S. only.
1280, New Orleans.
Number to get involved talking LSU Florida. Still? Why not? Hey, they won. We could still talk about it. Last week was, while you were still in London, look, it was, I gave the listeners a choice. I put, a fun Twitter poll up, how much I love those Twitter polls.
Yeah, we need to do more of those.
We need a poll man.
We need a poll man. We need a pollax.
I know. We need something like that. But
what was the poll?
I said, which do you want to hear first, the good or the bad? So talk LSU the first hour. No, talk Saints the first hour because people wanted to hear Saints first. They wanted to be happy. And then we left the second hour full of misery and pain and when LSU lost that. So, yeah, I gave them a choice. Now, there's a lot of positivity outside of my high school.
No more gloom, despair, and agony on us.
Well, not today, at least.
No. I mean, I think a win will do wonders for the psyche around here. And LSU needed it, like you said, mentally more than anything else. They had not played well, really, in any of their games. We all thought the Brigham Young game was this big crescendo moment, that testament to how good this team was. And I don't think Brigham Young's won a game.
That team's got to be awful.
I don't know. I don't see a win on their schedule anywhere. They're playing Mississippi State this week.
Oh, well,
So,
Mississippi
speaking
State might
of-
win by 50 there, and everyone will be happy again. But let's hear from
our team. No one blinked. We lost 3 offensive linemen in the first half, and we got freshmen going in there, guys not a lot of experience. We didn't blink, and they weren't going to blink. This team made a decision on Monday that they were going to do everything to win this football game under any conditions, and they did that.
the offensive linemen. At one point, they had 3 true freshmen and a redshirt freshman on the offensive line. And Florida's no slouch, and LSU still ran the ball 200 yards. I think that, if anything, you got to give mega credit to LSU for at least coaching the kids up and the kids being ready to go, because that's a spot you see that, and if you're Florida, you're probably salivating, and LSU was still able to move the football and like I said, 200-plus yards on the ground despite injuries all over the map on the offensive line.
Yeah, it's amazing that they're able to get that production right now, and it just really shines a light on some of the recruiting deficiencies they've had the last few years, the attrition on the roster, and the misses, frankly, on some of the character that they brought in along the offensive line. They really screwed up the offensive line here. It should never happen in a program of this size, ever. And the fact that now they're having to go to the junior college ranks, it looks like in recruiting, to shore it up on both sides of the line, just shows you that this program is not nearly where it needs to be. And people have used the term, oh, this is a top 5 program. It's not right now at all. It has the potential to be, and it was, but it's not right now. And not when you're having to play true freshmen along the offensive line. I know there's injuries, and not when you're having to recruit junior college players, because that's usually kind of a Band-Aid to a fix.
Right, exactly. And immediate fix, but they came out, were able to play well. Let's hear from Coach O on.
It's a good feeling. I was just so happy for our team. Guys I know what happens when they go home, and I know what the coaches read when they go home or watch the TV. I guess it's tough on everybody. But you know what? We got to work, got in the morning. We stayed focused in on the task at hand. I thought we got closer as a football team and a staff this week. I think Joe Oliva did a tremendous job of supporting us all week. I think everybody around said, hey, man, we're going to get this done. Let's go. What can we do to get better? We did it.
Should Joe Oliva still be fired?
Well, let's see. Let's see how things go. I'm not a big the position he's been in. I mean, Will Wade looks like that was a good hire. We'll see how it plays out on the court.
So you're basically saying Joe Oliva should have just never been hired.
I from just the information I get in the community across the country, college athletics, he's not that well respected. Let's put it that way. And people just look at the track record of his hires. Have any of the programs really gotten better since he's been there?
When did he get to LSU again? Refresh me.
Well, Mark Emmert left in the early 2000s.
And then Skip was the AD.
Right.
And when did he replace Skip? I probably should know this. I don't know this off the top of my head.
Just seems like the potential. When we had him on the program last week, LSU athletics, the head coaching position, it's a different animal down there. There's a lot of politics involved. There's a lot of hands in the cookie jar, a lot of people trying to influence how things go with the football program. It takes a strong hand down there to handle it. A guy like Nick Saban can handle it. And Les Miles, for all of his faults, was actually good at that. And it takes the right person and a strong AD and a strong head football coach to get above all that and to be able to succeed. It's a different job than most Power 5 coaching and athletic directors. Learned a lot, but it's not the easiest job. And the way the whole Les Miles thing played out, that was a joke. That was a joke, and he allowed that to happen. And it doesn't appear like he's done his homework on any of these hires as far as the football. And that's, let's face it, that's the gravy train at LSU.
He became the AD in July of 2008, so they did make a national championship game appearance 4 years later. But still, I know him and Les Miles butted heads, and I got to check out this Les Miles podcast.
None.
None?
I have no interest in that.
He's the Mad Hatter. He eats grass.
Yeah. Have you covered LSU when Les Miles was
Just
the coach?
because he ripped you with a hammer and a nail.
He didn't rip me. He didn't rip me. He just went crazy.
He said, Jeff Duncan, I'm just going to take this nail and hammer it.
Bogglingly vague, and
I've heard great things about the
obtuse.
podcast. I heard he was going after Oliva and never mentioned him by name. He would only call him the athletic director. Never mention him by name. Ooh,
you can have
fun. Drama.
I won't be listening to that podcast.
Oh, you're right. You are no fun. Whatever. Let's go hear what Coach O had to say about what's been missing. Maybe some fun, but let's hear what's been missing from this team heading into Florida.
Yeah, really, momentum. That's what we've been missing. Keep on making plays to continue to get fired up, and that field goal gave us a little relief. And that drive in the first half gave us a little room for wiggle. Look, we knew Florida was going to do something. We knew they were going to come back and fight. But that drive at the beginning of the second half was the difference in the ball game for our temperament of our football team.
Yeah, 75-yard drive. Obviously, look, if fullback Torrey Carter gets the touchdown, you're able to go up. What was it? What was the score? I'm like losing my mind. They went up 17-3, right?
And they hung on.
They needed it. I mean, they needed it. You can't understate that, how bad they needed it. And they got it done. Now, do I think when you go into Auburn, do people expect LSU to lose to Auburn, even though they won this past week? Probably. That doesn't matter where the game's being played. I mean, of course, it is going to be at Tiger Stadium, but I think people are going to expect them to lose. I'm going to expect them to lose. I still need to see it, but quote unquote, more like LSU football. I think that's a big thing. Let's hear what Coach O had to say about being more physical.
We felt that with the running backs healthy and the plays that we were going to run, we knew that they were going to make some plays. But I think that those guys had a tremendous game plan today. I think more or less it was the mindset of our football team.
And I think that's the big thing. The players responded to the adversity. And it's 1 week, but it's a big rivalry game. You play Florida every last year's game. LSU went in, got it done by a point, and I think that
Wolves will be out bang if they get blown out at Tiger Stadium by Auburn. Return,
and it'll all become running back.
I think that's a good point, Larry. They just need to play better. I mean, I think that's the key. If they play and lose a close game, I think people will understand. But they've got to perform better. They didn't perform well at all in all those games leading up to Florida.
Exactly. But got a key member of the defense back that helped. Rashard Lawrence and Devin White came up huge in that game. We'll hear what Coach O had to say about those two players coming up.
Join Corey Johnson on the neutral ground.
Is the sky falling already?
Your boy.
For local football fans?
Uncle Les.
I don't know which team looked worse.
Sports 1280.
Can't get hired by
New Orleans.
Butch Jones is worse
From
than him.
baking to dinners with friends, why do the best things in life create so many dirty dishes? Forget the mess. Finish in Cascade Platinum. So bring on more baked on lasagna. Get stuck into more sticky cherry pie. And say yes to more dried on brownie mix.
Does he?
Finish Quantum tackles them all. Pick it up in store today.
I don't know how many times.
Michelle
He's
Paul
trying to get
is
his
the
name
most
out there.
decorated
So
figure
people hire
skater
him,
in
that's all it
U.S. history.
But I had a
Thought about that
dream,
when-
something, and I made sure that I worked hard for it.
And dedication can make your dreams a reality.
Whatever your dream goals are, they can come true.
Dedication. Pass it on.
Chance to even sit down
Dedication
with
for
him.
a better life at values.com.
We believe that the best
I sat
Halloween
down with him.
ever is yours for the taking.
That's
That's
'cause I
why
was working for CBS.
HalloweenCostumes.com/iHeart has over
gave nobody
10,000
down there.
costumes,
They let
including
Clyde Peter?
2,000 made
How many years has Clyde
exclusively
Peter
for you.
covered?
Right.
Your favorite movie,
Never
your
gave him
favorite
any time.
artist, your favorite food. We have them all, from video games to fairy tale princesses. In sizes
thought about
infant
that
to
big
adult
dog
8X,
when he was scoring
10,000
3
options
points a
await
game.
you at HalloweenCostumes.com/iHeart. And why
Can't get past the middle with 5 tight
HalloweenCostumes.com/iHeart?
ends.
Because
Can't
we're
get past
partnering with them
50,
to get
biggest
you
game of your
15%
career.
off. Go to HalloweenCostumes.com/iHeart and own Halloween.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's #1, #2 employee. Leave a message at the... Hi, Jamie. It's you, Jamie. Listen, I forgive you. That birthday shout-out to Lester might have been poorly timed and mildly dangerous, but doggone it, you put your heart into it. Besides, forgiveness is what Progressive is all about. That's why our loyal customers
30 seconds.
forgiveness at no extra cost. So, I forgive you. Even if Lester and...
We have all these Wi-Fi problems here.
If you owe more than $12,000 in
Buffering.
private student loans, call Optima
It happens when
Advocates
Clyde's
for a
here.
free consultation to
Yeah.
see if you
I don't know
qualify
what the
for an
problem is.
overall
See, like it's
principal
doing right
and
now.
interest
Yeah.
reduction at 800-348-2707.
I have no idea what to do about it.
800-348-2707.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280. New
Lawrence to make his return on the defensive front. The rushing totals were still pretty high for Florida. Look, they did basically the by committee just like LSU did. They ran for 224 on 38. Well, they ran for 194 on 38 carries, 5.1 yards a carry. But I know O was probably waiting just because of the lack of physicality on the defensive front that they could get Lawrence back, and that was a big plus. Let's hear what Coach O had to say about Rashard Lawrence returning to the lineup.
He's a leader. He's a leader about defense. He's a vocal leader. Guys believe in Rashard. We're a different team with him in there. We're a different team with him playing.
Certainly played better with him. Now, I didn't think when he left he would be this gargantuan loss, but when others around them fall too, you need the guy, and the fact he it was necessary.
Rashard Lawrence was, if I remember correctly, the #1 recruit in the state of Louisiana. He was a top top blue chip recruit and is a difference maker up front. Yeah, he's going to make a huge difference. He's an NFL guy. You can't afford to lose those guys for a long period of time. And when he's in the game, that defensive line's totally different. And they're starting to get a little more production out of Arden Key, who's been a complete. I saw a draft projection the other day that has him now going like projected 3rd or 4th round. So his
really,
yes, his
wow.
draft prospects have plummeted because of what people are seeing on the field.
Right, and the off-the-field issues and the fact that he hasn't gotten back in the form. And I'm curious just to see what figured to be top 10 picks, and you know how those things go. If they fall off, they fall off. But how far have they really fallen off? I think it's something interesting. But look, Devin White, you got to give him a heck of a lot of credit. Led LSU with 13 tackles, had a sack, and batted down that 4th down pass in Florida territory late in the 4th quarter. And that was the game sealer. Let's hear what Coach O had to say about Devin White.
Yeah, Devin was the first one in the office on Sunday. And just come and say to me, Coach, I want you to hold me to a higher standard. We're going to get the leaders together, and we're going to get this fixed. And I know for leadership, you got to be playing out there. And those guys, although he's a young player, just like Rashard, they lead him by example on the field.
They need everything they can get. A couple times this year already, come back in the final minute. Felipe Franks, a Hail Mary, they win it. And Florida's done this to LSU in the past where they've come up with the big play. Look, just last year, they stopped Geis. They get the win. That was huge for LSU.
And Devin White is following in the footsteps, playmaking linebacker, that kind of rover all over the field, using his range and speed and athletic ability. They're using him a lot. Dave Aranda had him blitzing. He's a force over there. He's clearly going to have an all-SEC type season. If he stays healthy, he looks like another linebacker that's going to be playing on Sundays down.
All in the last 3 weeks.
No, not at all. And they've got to be able to do that this Saturday against Auburn. They've got to get penetration into the backfield because Auburn runs that kind of unique offensive system. They cannot, right? I mean, that was how they won the game last year. It basically was the end for Les Miles.
And you look at the schedule, and like I said, you can't guarantee me a win yet for LSU. Usually you can. You go through and say, all right, LSU's going to win this game, win that game. LSU is going to win, say, any game. Any
game. Now, come on. If they don't beat Ole Miss looks like in complete free fall. They can't stop anybody.
All right, Ole Miss. But that's at Ole Miss. You never know. I don't know. What if Shea Patterson goes nuts and throws for 500?
Trying to stay motivated. I don't know how they can continue to be motivated on Saturdays, considering everything that's gone on in that program. It's going to be difficult. So that's a game they have to win.
Yeah, you got to win that.
You can't, and you can't let Ole Miss get any hope. That's you lay the hammer down early in a game like that. Ole Miss kind of would fold their tent, I would think, just because of the way things are going for them right now. Should have used the fly in the windshield analogy.
Yeah, that would have gone over even better.
Would that have been better?
You brush the windshield and all the guts get all over it. Oh, yeah, that'd be great. But look, Alabama, that's going to be a loss. Home against Arkansas.
That's a win.
I'm not going to say. I think that might be a bigger slam dunk than Ole Miss because I think they're way over Butch Jones. That team is way over.
30 seconds.
And then you finish up at home against Texas A&M. Who knows? They may be way over Kevin Sumlin. I don't know.
Right. All these teams could be in complete free fall looking at coaching changes.
All right, double-digit wins. They're going to get it. No doubt about it. Coming up next, hour number 2 of the show, we'll talk Tulane. Big win against Tulsa and the rest of the NFL weekend. We'll get into that. So coming back, Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
This is a great time of year to get versus November 11th at Baby Chase Field.
At Oregon.
Register at alz.org/walk.
Who's that? Mike Leach.
And the next day, November 12th, the New Orleans Kidney Walk will be held at Audubon Park. Go to kidneywalk.org.
Yeah, they beat USC and at Oregon.
And that means being outdoors. Join the nearly 2 million people who camp, bike, paddle, and hike our state parks
488 rushing
as we
yards.
invite you to do the same. Every corner
Time of
we
possession,
visit
he held the ball for 43 minutes.
world-class
Oh, he
fishing
called
at
me.
Toledo Bend to
so
paddle
He
in
called
Fountain,
me
to
Saturday
explore the
night. He
ancient
was
mounds at Poverty Point,
10
World
sheets to
Heritage
the
Site.
wind.
So
He wanted to come in here and do the whole show live, like, and sit over there.
New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app.
Oh, yeah.
Search Sports
No
1280.
kidding. He was easily 10 sheets to the wind.
Fritz is looking like a great.
Don't know what the series score is with the Dodgers.
Following that one on FS1, it'll be Game 4 of the
Yankees
ALDS.
survived.
Yankees and
One
Indians
nut
on
last night
FS1.
to
First
stay
pitch at 7:08. Trevor
series.
Bauer versus Luis Severino in the pitching matchup. Nightcap, Dodgers and Diamondbacks from Arizona. Yu Darvish versus Zach Greinke in the pitching matchup. In the NFL, Dolphins offensive line coach Chris Forster issued a statement today and also resigned after a video surfaced that
All right, we got 4 minutes, guys.
Yep.
An easy way out of debt? It could be for a debt settlement company. Are they asking for huge upfront
Yeah, apparently
fees before any money
he
goes
sent
to
that video
reducing
to
your
like
debt?
a
Are
stripper.
they telling you to stop paying your
And the
credit
stripper
card bills
leaked
and
it.
collecting the money instead? Fortunately, there is a difference. Call the National
was right
Foundation
before a
for
team
Credit
meeting.
Counseling
I know.
today at
Or a coaches meeting.
800-388-2227 or visit debtadvice.org. That's debtadvice.org. This has been a public service message from the NFCC.
If you've fallen behind on your taxes, you know that the IRS is already coming for their money, and they'll get it too by garnishing your wages or maybe even taking your home or business. They call it enforced compliance, and you'd better watch out because the penalties and interest compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. You need to call the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Solving tax issues is all they do. One call to Optima starts the process to stop the demand letters and stop aggressive collection actions. They get to work immediately, fighting to protect your assets and helping you put your tax problems behind you. The IRS writes off
Chance at
millions
4
every year,
receivers
and
go down
Optima
one
knows
game.
all the ins and outs of the
2 for the
IRS's
season.
tax assistance programs that could save
So
you
Beckham and who's the other one
So
out for
what
the
are you
year?
waiting
Well,
for?
they're
Call
talking about
Optima
bringing
now for a
Victor
free
Cruz back.
consultation.
Call 800-798-2477.
This
That's
is gonna be it for Eli.
800-798-2477. 800
One of the they're gonna be in the
Tax
top.
yeah, there will be
2 or
iHeartRadio
3
does something
or
no
top
other
5.
app
You'll
or
get one of those
website can do.
quarterbacks.
Thousands
Got
of
to.
live radio stations you can take anywhere. Want to listen to that station in Denver, but you're in Philly? No problem. In Austin, but you miss Seattle?
Man,
no
just
problem.
on the heels of when I
Plus,
read a story
iHeartRadio
about how
lets you
Eli
create your own
Manning could
custom
manage
artist
his
stations.
nerves.
James
Yep.
from Metallica here. It's iHeartRadio.
Just type in the artist you love, and iHeartRadio creates a station just for you. Free radio and unlimited music, all in one app. iHeartRadio.
Yeah, never even
From
hadn't even
baking
run on print
to
yet.
dinners with
Probably
friends,
run Wednesday.
why do the best things in life
No, they
create
printed
so
Friday.
many dirty
I
dishes?
never got my paper.
Forget the
They
mess.
put Sunday.
Finish
They
dairy pie and say
no,
yes
well,
to more
I mean,
dried-on brownie
that's what happens
mix.
when you're in
Finish
Mobile.
Quantum tackles them all.
The storm's
Pick it up
coming.
in store today.
Can't get people
Comparison
over.
made to Cascade Platinum Retail Pack.
Yeah.
9,997.
Hard to get past
Todd, Tulsa.
No.
Suppose Thomas Edison had given up,
9,998.
but his failures only led him to the next idea. Optimism. Pass it on from the Foundation for a Better Life at values.com.
We believe that the best Halloween costumes, including 2,000 made exclusively for you. Your favorite movie, your favorite artist, your favorite food. We have them all, from video games to fairy tale princesses, in sizes infant to adult 8X. 10,000 options await you at HalloweenCostumes.com/iHeart. And why HalloweenCostumes.com/iHeart? Because we're partnering with them to get you 15% off. Go to HalloweenCostumes.com/iHeart.
Issues designed to help you help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything. Brought to you by Understood.org and the Ad Council.
We all used to like Pandora before they started interrupting the music.
30.
We thought maybe we can do it better than Pandora with our iHeartRadio app. And now we have. Open iHeartRadio, type in an artist you love, and let iHeartRadio build you a station with all that artist's best music and songs we've handpicked to make you a perfect station. And with iHeartRadio, you get more music, fewer interruptions, and it's free. Try it today. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
Dunc and Holder, hour number 2 on a Monday, October 9th. You missed hour number 1, primarily LSU talk. Check it out later after the show, sports1280.com, NOLA.com's iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube feeds. And hour number 2, we're opening up with Tulane football talk. The numbers are 488 rushing yards, time of possession 43 minutes and 38 seconds. I would have figured normally that would be reverse for a Tulsa who has had Tulane's number. 62-28, they beat Tulsa, and honestly, the score wasn't even that close. The fact that Tulsa got 28 points stunned me because you kept seeing the outcome of the game, and of course, it's human nature to kind of let your foot off the pedal a little bit, but still, that was a dominating performance for Tulane. Obviously, the biggest win for Willie Fritz here in Tulane, and one of the bigger wins I'd say we've ever seen at Ullman Stadium. I know, look, Curtis Johnson had some big wins the year they went to the bowl game, but the fact that you went in and you whipped Tulsa, I think that should, A, help your reputation within the conference. B, it should help your reputation when you hit the recruiting trail, that things are starting to kind of turn around for the Green Wave, and their quarterback, tough as nails, Jonathan Banks. I mean, they've become a different team since he's been able to get under center for this team.
Yeah, when I covered them against Army, the column I wrote after that game was, and I asked Graff about it last week when we had him on the program, this could be, I think, winning that game the way they won it, coming back against a good team, a team that went to a bowl last year and probably will go to a bowl this year, gave this team the confidence it needed, and you just saw how they responded against Tulsa. Tulsa clearly, and this is part of the reason Willie Fritz is so successful. That offense that he runs is very difficult to prepare for in 1 week. And if you don't play disciplined, sound football, assignment football, you can get bludgeoned. We've seen it happen over the years with Georgia Tech, and it's certainly capable of happening with Tulane the way they're running it now that they have a dynamic quarterback, and that's the key. And Willie Fritz, after that game against Army, I think said something that kind of opened my eyes. He said, we've got to figure out, we've got a difference maker here at quarterback. We've got to figure out as a staff how to exploit his ability and his talents. And I think they're starting to realize they're going to build everything around him.
Chuck.
So if you are a running back in the state of Louisiana, why wouldn't you want to go play in this offense? You're going to get the ball a lot. You're going to have a chance to shine. And I really think Dontrell Hilliard is going to follow in the footsteps of these other running backs that have gone on to the NFL. Rob Kelly, Orleans Darkwa, obviously Matt Forte was a big-time player. I think he's going to have a chance to play on Sunday.
Dontrell Hilliard goes 4 touchdowns, almost 200 yards rushing. Yeah, I'd say you had a monster day. And he's been getting it done all year for them, though.
He's a good player.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very underrated. He's a classic Louisiana recruit, right? He was like a 3-star recruit. Oklahoma State made an offer, but none of the big boys went after him, and he's obviously a very good player, can play anywhere.
No doubt about it. Let's hit the phone lines. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Chuck in Algiers. Chuck, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What you got, Chuck?
Hey, Larry, rumble, brah.
Man, what is this?
About them Tigers.
What is this? Sabotage.
That's all I got to say, Larry.
That's all you got to say. Yeah.
And if you say anything detrimental about Holy Cross, I'm going to tell Kenny Narcan to put his big foot up you know what.
I mean, now you're bringing family into it, this guy. Ban Chuck in Algiers for life off this show. Ban this guy. Never want him calling again. Thanks, Chuck. Yeah, appreciate it. Nah, it's a buddy of mine, Chuck. Once I heard Chuck in Algiers, I said, someone's calling to come after me. I knew it. Knew it.
Well, you had that coming.
I deserve it. For as many people as I've ripped in my life, I deserve it.
Right. You got to be able to take it in the position we're in.
Yeah.
I've had a rough couple of weeks myself, so been a little tough.
Yeah, I know. Old Ricky P.
Been a little tough.
While John Calipari's just sitting pretty. Your boy.
Oh, yeah. We'll see. Bruce Feldman tweeted over the weekend, more indictments coming in college basketball. I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. And it's long overdue getting these shoe companies and their influence, if it's possible, getting them out of college basketball, because it's been going on for decades, basically controlling where players go to college through money, through illicit payments, through influence on the AAU programs. Louisville's certainly not the first and won't be the last to fall into that axe.
No doubt about it, yeah. So I'm curious to see how that goes. But let's switch back.
Tulane, yeah.
Let's switch back to Tulane here. Willie Fritz, look, it's his 200th win, but that was kind of on the back burner for him. He knew how important this game was. Let's hear from Willie Fritz what he had to say on getting the game in, first of all, and getting the win on top of it.
Very happy with our administration and everybody involved in game day operations to be able to get this game and play it. We had to change game time a couple times, and it takes a lot of people to coordinate that, and just appreciate everybody doing a good job with getting that taken care of. I thought we came out of the box and played extremely hard and well, smart. We wanted to kind of have the win at the very beginning. We worked out well. We got a 3 and out and short field for the offense. We scored. Same thing happened on the next series. And, besides that one bust in coverage, we played extremely well defensively in the first half against a very potent offense. So good job in all three phases. I think almost everybody on our squad who was eligible to played today. So really excited about that.
All I know is I saw a tweet from our friend Pat Forty. He caught a glimpse of the Tulane-Tulsa score and was basically like, what is going on here? Like, the world is flipped on its axis.
I know, because it used to be Tulsa running up those huge numbers.
On Tulane annually.
Right.
Annually, every year. You say, oh, well, Tulane, if they can get past Tulsa, they can get it done, and they lose by 30. And no, it's the other way around. Huge win.
And looking back, I mean, that performance that Tulane had in Annapolis against Navy is looking better and better. Navy's unbeaten. I think they're going to be ranked soon. That was an indicator, I think, that this is a different Tulane team. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, when I had to do my crystal ball at the beginning of the season, I think I picked Tulane to go 4-8. I was completely wrong. I thought it was going to be a down year, transition year to next year when they get it back together. And they're way ahead of schedule on that rebuilding plan.
Well, we've been talking about Jonathan Banks. Look, this team, it's a different team with a quarterback who can kind of get it done.
Right.
Running the football and throwing the football. They probably didn't assume he would be able to be as consistent and potent in the passing game. Look, 9 of 13, $165, 1 touchdown. Look, he had a 62-yard connection, and then running the football, 93 yards, a touchdown, a 50-yard run, and he has no loss of yardage. It means he's not getting sacked. He's not getting tackles for loss. Look, this team, they're going to have him for a couple of years now. Look, he's a sophomore, right?
Right.
So, they're going to – this could be something special. Let's hear what Willie Fritz had to say about Jonathan Banks.
Yeah, he just, was kind of fired up. He kind of looking his eye before the ball game. He's ready to go, and he played extremely well. He's a tough competitor. He enjoys it, and I think he saw how this thing can work. Now, obviously, we ran that ball a heck of a lot more, particularly in the second half and the second quarter, so we could run clock. But, he's 9 of 13, 165 yards, and a couple of them were just him improvising plays. So he's a good quarterback.
And that's the thing. You got a guy who, when something breaks down, he can turn something out of nothing, and we saw that against Army when the back's against the wall, 4th down, and he's just running for his life and willing to take a hit, and gets the first down in that drive. And that's, look, you play a game like that and you bounce back like that because they had the bye week. And let's hear what Willie Fritz had to say about coming off the bye week, because look, you could be down and then you think you're, the cat's meow, and then all of a sudden you take a step back, but that didn't happen. Let's hear what Willie Fritz had to say about playing big coming out the bye week.
Yeah, I just thought we came out and played hard, played well, and they ought to get excited by this. Tulsa's kind of had their way with Tulane over the last 13 years, and we played well today. We did a good job.
Now, Willie Fritz, I do think that Tulane and Troy Dannon, they kind of had the trump card up their sleeve because they practice early in the morning. And Tulsa, I'm sure, is not used to playing at 10 a.m. Now, it's not like they did this on purpose. It wasn't like gamesmanship where, like in college baseball, people will move games around and it doesn't benefit other teams. Like they did this because they had to. But the 10 a.m. kickoff was something that certainly did benefit Tulane. Let's hear what Willie Fritz had to say about this being the earliest kickoff he's even ever had to deal with.
Yeah, well, we did. We're fortunate. We practice in the mornings. So our guys are used to getting up at 5:30 every morning. We eat breakfast at 6. We begin meetings at 7 after they get taped. Then we start practice at 8:15. So this game time start was about like period number 20 for us in practice. So it was, I told the guys last night, hey, you're going to get to sleep in an extra half hour. We're going to get you up at 6 instead of 5:30. So
worked out.
It worked out well. And then someone asked, I think in the press conference, can you get every game to 10 a.m.? And they said he'd love to. Sure.
I might make deadline on these 10 a.m. kickoffs, maybe.
You're not making deadline at 10 a.m.
It'll be close.
It will be. People will be calling. Where's the story, Jeff? It's 10 p.m. You still don't have your column, and you probably be like, it's computer issues. It's not me. I promise.
For those out there, I'm a little have a reputation for being a slow writer among the editing staff here at the Times-Picayune.
You're very diligent. You want to make sure every word is brings some power.
The only person slower than me is Brett Martell from the AP, who we're going to have on the program this week. He's overdue.
I think he called in on his own once. He is overdue.
He's overdue.
He's overdue.
Clarification, stat boy here, Jonathan Banks is a junior. I knew that. He transferred in from junior college. So next year, but they're in good shape at quarterback. Darius Bradwell, he's shown that he can run this offense. And then I forget the name of the freshman that they've been raving about out there at Tulane, Willow Street.
I thought that is the freshman. Jonathan Brantley's the backup.
All right, wait, yeah, Brantley. No, it's the other quarterback from Georgia.
Graff's
probably having a heart attack right now. I don't know his name.
We've talked about him before.
I'll find out.
There we go. Back at you, NOLA.com, Times-Picayune Studios, and we have a bit of breaking news here, Jeff. And a legend, honestly, sports photography lore, because he's part of the probably. What was he, 90 years old?
90 years old, yes. Two players, and yeah, a great player for the New York Giants. New York Giants Ring of Honor. He was the first great LSU quarterback. Who else would you put in that mix?
Probably
Burt Jones, talked about before with.
He's already looking at us, and he's saying, get out of here, guys. I was tender for the NFC. Manning, Odell Beckham. What happens up there as far as year. It is, everyone thought that they're done. I mean, they're out of it because, look, it looks like Odell Beckham's going to be throwing a football to people he's never even met this week in an NFL.
Might survive guys in the when he was under fire. Remember that
Super Bowl, but
I mean, this is remember that
Super Bowl, but
I mean, this is it's still okay. But offense, although I think the tight end from NFL is when you don't have depth to have talent around it. an offensive line, nothing's going to work.
No, and you're always going to have issues, and that's what he's running. It was where Sean Merriman was going up against.
And that's not going to solve any of their issues. I mean, they are definitely in. A lot of people thought might win the NFC East. I never did. I never bought in.
Now that they're bumping the Jets off the back page, that's.
I never did. I never bought in.
Now that they're bumping the Jets off the back page, that's.
This one of the themes that I think has developed here. Rusher in the NFL, the leading rusher is Kareem Hunt, right? Another back. We've seen it here in New Orleans. A lot of rookies playing early in this league and making an impact.
Yes, and but yeah, Jeff, it's amazing that. Aaron Rodgers.
Well, they've had some issues in Dallas and winning these. I mean, that you're talking about a team that's lost a lot of players. I mean, they every game they have neither tackle. They're deep to make up for their inefficiencies on the offensive line, but it's just a. And Dallas, I think Dallas is going to be. And Dallas, I think Dallas is going to be okay. Got some players. There's some guys on that defense. The Eagles have gotten off to a surprising start. They're the class of the East.
Yeah, Carson Wentz.
Good thing the Browns passed on him, right?
Nice move. Planet Earth.
Who's the best team in the NFC? I think that's the question right now. The NFC, you could go to a number of teams. You could say Carolina with some of the wins they've had, Philadelphia.
NFC landscape, because, look, the Saints are a quarter of the season done. They've had on their schedule are still playing pretty well. Some hope, and yet this pretty well. Some hope, and yet the schedule. Our sister website. Why don't you just?
Things are going to get interesting in New York. So we don't know what's going on. We're screwed up.
It's like it's not plugged in, and so I had to go plug.
Early, right?
No. Well, I had to restart it.
With a mix of showers and storms, we will see those
But it was
developing
working.
mainly in the late morning and into the afternoon.
See,
30% chance for rain as highs climb to the mid to upper 80s.
Stuck and no one was moving.
DiabetesActNow.org.
So night. Get trapped and somebody pulled behind.
The process to stop the demand letters and stop aggressive.
What is that? What is it? It had to be Marcus. What is it? It had to be Marcus. He was sitting over there.
24/77.
How many episodes?
New Orleans.
all excited.
Jeff.
Dave is all excited about Monday Night Football. He's ready to watch the game, Jeff. Let him live his life.
That's not it.
Oh,
Jabba Fett, right? No, this Star Wars thing. I'm. Yes.
8. This is the 8th installment.
Thing because they're so desperate to make money, they find
like chips and.
They're risk averse. Like everything in today's business world is. Studios can take a chance, so they have to use these huge name actors and take a chance that it might not work. Like one of my favorite movies ever was Work Today because it didn't have a bunch of huge stars. I mean, I think Kevin Spacey, no one, or even Animal House. John Belushi was the only name. Yeah, no one, or even Animal House. John Belushi was the only name. You
no,
like what?
Like 0.
A way to go through life, son.
And the guys, Flounder's name is.
The little scene was Christ, 6 years of college.
So there you go.
Yeah,
good
but
enough.
Stand in line for the
and wear costumes and stuff. Yes.
Nerd.
Jeff's got a tattoo of Patino on his butt. Now, what are you gonna do? Yeah.
Oh, I think we do know.
Yeah.
Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football.
Right.
Actually going to play tonight. All you got to do is you watch tonight. It's giving you this. And play Carolina here locally, and so you get to see. You know what the Saints are going to be up against next 3 weeks.
I should get to this because I've been mentioning it. Val, one of our loyal, will be. I don't think it's going to be that big of an impact, even though I think he was playing well. They've got Kuechly's there, as I said before, but they've got a good mix of.
Anti-Teo started middle line. Look, that was even before we even knew if. Remember Donnell Ellerby, and he would have been your. I don't think
you
so.
Just work out.
Remember Donnell Ellerby, and he would have been your. I don't think
you
so.
Just work out.
Many teams are going to be interested in Donnell.
Plays, I should say making plays, making.
The Carolina Panthers. But it is amazing to me. Listless against the Saints. And now they've come back. And they're 30th in points allowed. Belichick, Matt Patricia, and I don't think he's the main problem.
In this case, I think that clearly was the case with Matt. We're going to get Delvin Breaux back at some point in this season. Marshawn Lattimore gets. Saints haven't had that in a long time, and that, they're going to need that in this division. And that, they're going to need that in this division that Tampa Bay has. They're going to need top. Need to throw a parade yet because the Dolphins are just
16-10. off, whatever. If you haven't seen that story this morning,
That's
now
great.
substance and now he the video got leaked by the woman he was professing.
Dolphins had 178 total yards.
Stadium, and Carolina years, but Carolina held on, and the Lions and you go to Green Bay. That's a whole element of in it, and you got to figure something might be awry with him. So I'm him as uncomfortable as you can, and I assume by the success heck out of Newton, they blitzed the heck out of Cup.
Carolina sacked him 6 times yesterday. They did not look into that game. Their body language quarter in the beginning of the third quarter. That's something that Jim Caldwell will try, especially if Stafford's gimpy. They're going to try and dominate, fade away, especially the
Blake Bortleses of the world.
Year, Ben Roethlisberger, absolutely atrocious for a touchdown, and is doing one of the best coaching jobs in the NFL. They destroy over in London. Baltimore,
right,
destroyed them. They went to Houston, and Fowler, the kid from Florida, for him coming up.
No doubt about it.
For him coming up.
No doubt about it. Let's Sports 1280, NOLA.com. YouTube feed is I don't know why we can't have like this.
Lately, it was working fine the first.
A phenomenon from Wendy's that can
believe
only
we
be
can't
described as a
hardwire
giant
it to,
junior
like-
bacon cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Good heavens, double the fresh. Never-
Small fries and a drink.
Not palatable.
You want them to be surrounded by knowledgeable provide students with access to
like the only people are talking about.
So many dirty dishes.
Or
also gives you 25% more loads per pack.
Been it's like
and
been
say
buffered the
yes.
whole.
Because my dad wore a suit when I was growing up. The kids want to be rap stars, athletes, and you player.
Well, he came in here.
It's called American.
24-hour victim helpline.
Hunger, and millions more live in isolation.
Happen. The whole thing recycle.
Issue unveiled. It's paid. Not us.
And I understand from the very top of our country. From the very top of our country, players are going to be more apt to want to
knelt during the national
for there to be.
The thing is, I can't. It's the first time the Saints have ever done anything like that. Guess what? Honestly, disrespectful to all of us.
As Peter King pointed out in his Monday morning quarterback.
30 seconds.
Want to thank Dave of Star Wars knowledge.
I'm going to go buy a job.
Over there. Yeah. iHeartRadio app.
Yeah,
I still love you. Yeah, see, I can get a room in Gonzales.
Larry ran up a $500 tab at
when you just add water.
Where at?